Hi guys, welcome back. So this is episode 2, the second episode of my photography tutorial. Now I'm going to try and go really fast on this, so try and catch up, right? So I'm going to show you a few examples from different events and services and some international trips that I've done. I want to give you a bit of context about the different things that I'm looking for in the photos, but then also using different things in the scene to create those images. As an artist, I'm always trying to make sure that I'm intentional about what I put in that frame. So every single element in there is going to be intentional for me. So I'm going to compose these pictures in a way that really tells a story without having to explain it. Does that make sense? Okay, so this first one is a Sunday service with Pastor Jemima in the new building in Butler. So it's an establishing shot so that it's before the service has started and everything. This gate is open and the car is driving in with the Kingdom City building right in the back right there. So that's leading lines, and you're trying to tell a story that everything's leading towards that entrance, right? So then these wide angle shots are all done in a way that you can show that people are engaging in the service and listening to the worship, engaging in the worship, and their hands are up and things like that, right? I always try and stand on a chair in the back and then try and get that wide angle shot from the back. These moments where you have an MC on stage, always wait for the right moment where the person is gesturing in the right way or has the right facial expression. So these are often a way where we can use a photo to shout out someone who's doing a good job, or even if that person is preaching, for example. Always try and make sure I get a wide angle photo from the back of the different team who are serving. So these are the production team. So I can get these different moments of people backstage as well. This is pastor walking out and then me standing on the side. I try to remain inconspicuous when I do a stage photo like this. Even though I'm a 6'2" giant white guy, I still probably stick out. But if you do it in a creative way, I think you can kind of disappear a little bit. These wide angle photos, I always try and make sure I don't get any empty seats in the photo. And then because I'm using 2 different cameras, I use this big zoom lens, right? And then at the same time, I use this wide angle lens, same camera. And then that allows me to do 2 things at once. You get that wide angle shot of someone handing out the bag, but then also get the close-up shot of the pastor there. You can be 2 photographers at once, 2 places at once. And then these photos of pastor welcoming people, done in a way that opens up the conversation rather than just showing the back of someone's head. When I'm doing preacher photos, I always make sure that I know the preferences of that pastor. So, for example, when Pastor Jem comes out, she comes out on stage, prays, and asks people to, stand up and pray with her for the service, for the message. And then she'll smile and do a welcome. And then she'll get straight into the serious moment of the service. So then always trying to get these wide angle photos that have these leading lines, pointing right to the front of the stage. And then I always know that Pastor Jemima would like this sort of photo right from the back. This is sort of that broadcast moment where you have that camera right at the back, yeah? And then you got other establishing shots around the campus where you have directional signage and the front door, and then you can use these sorts of pictures in promotional material as well. You got other photos in the foyer, lots of different angles to cover and the different aspects of that new campus. You can use other photos like this for promotional material. And then, nice moments of Pastor Jemima meeting a little baby. And then it's shot in a way that opens up the conversation, right? So you have the shoulder of someone who's speaking, shot in almost like that documentary sort of interview sort of style, All right, next one. Okay, so this one is from a trip we did to South Africa. Now, these initial photos right in the front here, these are actually all set up. So I asked Pastor Ben to come over and I said, hey, can you come over and shake some people's hands? I need to get a photo of you as you're interacting with people. And because I was rushed for time, I actually asked him to come in and step in and just do some staged photos like this rather than sitting there for like 10, 20 minutes as people are all walking in. get that photo, then I can go to another section in the auditorium or another thing to maximize my time, because I was one photographer at that trip, right? I asked him to come over, and you'll actually notice that person is a team t-shirt on the back there. So yeah, I'm just asking him to come over and shake some people's hands, act really happy. All right, really smile, 1, 2, 3, you know what I mean? So directing the crowd. These LED photos, I'm making sure that I'm shooting on 1/100th of a second, because I know that the frame rate of the LED screen is 50 Hertz. So it has to be multiples of 100 or multiples of 50. So you could shoot it at 1/200th of a second and you'd be fine, but anything higher, you'd really be pushing it, and you get some lines and glitch effects and things. So then throughout the service, I'm always looking for different fun moments, people dancing, people on chairs, and really showcase that sort of excitement in the service. There's this one boy right at the front of the altar call, really crying out to God and passionately praying. This kid actually is viral on TikTok. He has these videos of him praying for different people, and yeah, a little TikTok star, millions of views. Goes to our church in South Africa. And anyway, you've got pictures of the pastors praying for people, shot in a way that opens up the things so you can see the person praying. You've got different moments on stage, little memories. And these wide-angle photos, again, I take these pictures trying to show that there's no empty seats. So I always try to stand in the right spot. This moment here, it's probably okay to get onto stage at that moment, so you get all the pictures of people praying. And then when it got a little bit more intense, when they're on the ground, I'm on a low angle so I can get on that height. So it's very powerful. You can see everyone standing up and Pastor Mark's kneeling. This is shot in a way, wide angle photo, and you're right there in the crowd. You've got that foreground of that person in the front on the right. And then you've got Pastor Mervyn there praying, and very powerful images. This photo is actually a moment where this young woman was receiving prayer for cancer, and then turns out she's healed only a couple of weeks later. So very powerful moment. So always looking for these moments after church as well, where Pastor Mark's come up and pray for someone, or another one of our pastors. This is the pastor's son. His name is Josh. He's the lead pastor from South Africa's son, and they ended up using that photo for his birthday. So it's very nice memory. Okay, another one that I'd like to explain is Global Prayer Night. So this one is, you're establishing shots of the worship and the praise, and then I'm looking around for the crowd as well. This is Arthur Keng. He's come over from Singapore to Perth, so I make sure I get a photo of him as he's serving. You got other pictures of the team, and then single shots. We usually don't post single shots of people in worship like that, but I always try to make sure I capture them, because then it's a good opportunity to give that person a shout out for then when, maybe it's their birthday or we want to honor them for serving. And then Global Prayer Night, I love these opportunities where you can sit in the crowd and, wait for the right moment where someone's worshiping. And then I'm using different people and different elements in the crowd to cover up certain pictures, or elements of the picture, so that I can really focus that image on one person as they're praying. Pastor David here, as he's praying, I wasn't in the right moment initially, but then I arranged myself so that I was right where he was pointing, like this, right? So yeah, I was making sure that I'm wandering around the service and getting to the right position. I saw Pastor Pia here was on her knees in worship, and she's got her husband and her child right there. So I composed it in a way that I was perfectly square in there, so she's set up in that frame. And then I remember this night there actually wasn't too many people in Canning Vale. I tried to arrange it in a certain way that certain gaps in the crowd weren't shown, and then I was trying to make sure I'm looking for these different moments as well, where kids are praying for kids, or kids are praying for adults, or these anointing photos, very powerful. But it's also it's focused on the past. It's not focused on maybe a new person or a congregation member, but it's focused on that person that we know and the staff member that we know. Also just a nice way to compose the image. These are photos of kids as they're praying for other kids, and then they're pulling out the modesty classes. Very cute, very powerful as well. All right, and then this prayer moment right at the end, another photographer's there on stage actually, so that probably isn't good, because you're showing people that we can't work as a team, because if you see a photographer in one place, then trust that they're going to get it, get the right shot, right angle. So go to a completely other area of the auditorium, and then see the camera is right there on the left next to me. So we want to make sure that we're maximizing our time and maximizing our teamwork. Okay, this is a carrier's night. So part of the point of a carrier's night is to show off how good the evening was, and that you really missed out by not being there. So what are some aspects of this night? We have free food, we have great time to interact with other people, maybe from other campuses or other areas that you might not interact with. So I'm always trying to make sure that I'm getting these smiling portraits of people. One tactic that you can use is ask people to pose, and don't say cheese. Don't say, okay, 1, 2, 3, cheese. One thing that happens to your face, and have a look at my face when I do this. When you say cheese, people say cheese, and it's very much just their mouth as they smile. But what we can do is ask them to say yeah on 3. Ready? So 1, 2, 3, yeah. So have a look at my mouth, my eyes, my eyebrows as I'm saying yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's one thing that I always get people to do is say yeah on 3. 1, 2, 3, yeah. And then you get a big smiling happy photo. Another thing I get people to do is actually ask them to fake laugh. So you can ask people to fake laugh, and don't take the photo of maybe that fake laugh, but then get the photo of them actually laughing at fake laughing. As soon as someone fake laughs, then it's comical, it's funny, it's really awkward. So then you get a good photo of someone, smiling, interacting, a very candid sort of shot. Get some really great photos of carriers praying for one another at a carrier's night. Get some good worship, the honoring moment. This person, you can post that up. Thank you for serving. Get some nice, everyone on their knees in worship. Pastor Mark comes up. And then this night, actually, what we did was broadcast live to Kuala Lumpur. Pastor Jemima's there. And then there was a great conversation back and forth between the two cities. You can see on the screen and in the foreground, you can see the two clearly, that it's two different places. And then preacher photos, I'm always trying to look for a great expression, great, hand movements, facial features, their mouth moving in the right place, you know what I mean? So I'm looking for that presidential shot where they're pointing and gesturing and illustrating a point, And then nice pictures of people hugging and arm in arm. This one is in Botswana. So this is over now for our Africa gathering. Nice photos of pastors at the door as people are walking in. Feels like you're able to walk in and then be part of the family. I'm always trying to make sure nice, happy photos of people's faces. You got some pre-show moments. You got some pastors interacting on stage. This photo, I always try and stand right on a chair in the back row, hands above my head. Get this big wide-angle lens right above my head like this, and get a really tall shot. And then, some great praise moments as well. I think some of these praise moments, people passionately worshiping God, those are some of the most used photos. So these pictures were probably the most popular from that trip. Pastor Blake flying in worship there. He's just jumping up and down. And then I love these photos where people are highlighted with a spotlight in the room, These pictures of Pastor... Oh, this one, I'm perfectly exposing it for Pastor Mark's face right here, right? But then if I exposed it for the whole scene, it would have been very, very bright and too overexposed. This one is exposed correctly. And then... this is when Pastor Mark got up and read the original emails from when Pastor Matthews emailed Pastor Mark. So I exposed it for the LED screen and then boosted up the shadows and then dropped down the highlights to recover the LED screen brightness and to increase the room that was on Lightroom afterwards. And then you can see him illustrating and reading out the thing. Pastor Matthews is crying. Really powerful moments, right? And then these wide-angle photos, I'm standing in a position where the leading lines are all pointing towards Pastor Mark as the focal point in that shot. Right? Getting multiple different angles, so using different types of highlights and compositions. Really powerful prayer moments as well. Look at this, Very, very powerful. Amazing. Yeah, unbelievable. So yeah, the key things are just to be aware of your surroundings, to compose the scene correctly, to intentionally place different elements in that scene, be aware of the background, the foreground, to use different elements to disguise and arrange the scene in a way that you want the audience to be perceiving or receiving the image. You know what I mean? So you're an artist and you can use your art through photography to tell a story. And that's what we're doing. We're journalists for Jesus, and you can really do that through our social media. So I encourage you to invest in your social media and invest into your photography and research what some of the professionals are doing. Research what some of the journalists are doing and try and see how they're intentionally composing their photos in a way that tells a story. All right, I would love to connect with you as well. If you have any questions for me, feel free to reach out on WhatsApp or email or even on social media. You can follow me on Instagram and then we can get connected. But I'd love to help you. All right, thank you.